Hello everyone, this is MV doing some 1982 baseball. Just looking to see if Steve will do the Howie Shanks draft tonight. Don't see much in the Discord, but still waiting. So while I wait, I'll just thought I'd pass the time on this Friday night here in the UK. It's dark and quiet and cold. 1982, just continue my league in the background and share it. I did a bit of cricket earlier on, and I'm just still waiting for the new game to come out now before I do any more cricket. But this is 1982. I've been doing this for a couple of months now. And just 1982 with the DH on in both leagues, Ghost Runner and Interleague play to see how it all turns out. So far, a couple of surprises really is in the East. Because Milwaukee are struggling and they really did well, followed by Baltimore. And actually the Yankees are having a really good season so far, but despite the fact they've got a really crap first baseman. Or group of first basemen, actually. Cleveland are the surprise, in my opinion. They seem to be doing pretty well, 3 games back, but it's only midway through. Some stats to look at across both leagues is a gentleman called Matt Wilcox, is it? Is leading the league. Milt Wilcox is on a 5-game winning streak as a pitcher for Detroit. We're going to see some Detroit today. We've got some of the usual suspects that I recognize. There's one guy I like, Mario Soto. May see him today. In terms of wins, Steve Carlton's having a good season. He's way above pace to beat what he did in the real life. He's only 5 games behind where he's winning games. His OPS, for example, ERA plus is 143 versus 115. And so he's having a good season. Steve Carlton is 37 years old. Joaquin Underhall, is that Phil Necro? Joe Necro is having a good season. 4-game winning streak. In terms of stolen bases, there's the rookie, Tim Raines. And Ricky Henderson. He's beaten out Ricky Henderson. So it's really good so far to see this. I can see how bad Oakland was in 1982. I'm sure in 81 they had a good season. But in 82, not looking good. So Philly have just tied up the East with St. Louis. That's a little surprising. Oh, well, not surprising. Philly are a good team in 1982. St. Louis won in real life. There are the Pirates slipping behind. It's really done in the East, really. Montreal have an outside shot in the East. In the West, it's a fight between the Dodgers and the Houston Astros, with San Diego and Atlanta having to do some work. In 1982, Atlanta really did well, so they are way behind pace. Only about 500 there or thereabouts. The Giants is a very veteran team. They're struggling as well. Now then, there was something I wanted to do with my league, mid-league. Yes, I think I did it already. I just adjusted the earn runs yank option. So if they give up 5 runs, the pitcher's automatically yanked. I'll make sure of that. In the West, the Royals have done well so far. That's a bit more competitive. No surprises really there, apart from probably Seattle being a bit better than normal, I think. The Red Sox are pulling up the rear in the East here. Quick look at the Red Sox. Not doing very well at the moment. In terms of, these are the real stats. Let's get some replay stats in here. There we go. Not doing well. The starters, Eckersley and Tudor, are leading their starters. Not the worst in the world. Look at the whip. Louis Aponte, who the hell is this guy? He seems to be doing, and Bob Stanley out of the Bigfoot. A 5-game winning streak for Boston. So interesting so far in terms of looking around the league, looking at all the stats of Love Actions games. Some batting leaders. There's a guy that I do remember from 1981 when I went to New York. Is John Stearns. 18-game hitting streak as a catcher for the ailing New York team. He's caught 17 in a row, and a maximum is 8, so he'll start to be declining soon, if not already. There are the Mets, 31 and 15. Mookie, Backman, some guys from 85 are still there. Well, I shouldn't say still there, they're there. They won't necessarily last the World Series of 86. Roscoe's still there, though. Backman's there. Foster got a the ring, but he left in '86. We've seen Dave Kingman in this league so far with 21 home runs. Doing Carl Schwarber's doing his impression of Dave Kingman. It's a little Friday baseball while we get ready, hopefully, for the Howie Shanks League. If we hear from Steve, if not, I shall just continue doing this, just having a look around the league, looking at the All-Stars. It's interesting already. Some usual suspect. I think the guy that's doing the best in terms of expectation, and he's a star anyway, is Dave Winfield. Dave Winfield has hit 25 home runs already. He's on pace to hit about just in the mid-40s. So I'm pleased with him so far. Let's have a look. Welcoming anybody that's going to watch this later on. So let's get to it. Let's get to the game. Let's get to our ball game, shall we? Trying to get my baseball back on. There's been so many other sports lately. So we may want to see Righetti and Ujdor. Never heard of this guy. There's a good matchup there with Soto and Carlton. The Phillies looking to continue to lead. There is a good matchup there. Tanana Caldwell, that's a good matchup. I want a good matchup with two leading teams. So there's a good matchup with two leading pitchers. Ujor, whoever this guy is doing well. So let's go. Atlanta's struggling at the moment. Okay, we're going to do Detroit and the Yankees playing at Briggs Stadium, Tiger Field. So for New York today, Dave Righetti. Collins looks like he needs a rest. He's rested. Some injury that's a Bucky freaking dent. And here we go. View opponent. Jerry Ujdor. Now, who the hell is this? Where's Steve when I need him? Jerry Ujdor. I can't even say his name. Ujdor. In real life, in that season, he went 10-10. In this season, he's got a whip of 8.835. He's got an ERA plus of 2.43. 4-game winning streak. He's a fly ball pitcher. Let's see how he goes today. So here we go. Jerry Ujdor on the mound for Detroit. And we need to just fix this stadium. I do have quite a lot now, actually. Become quite a collector of these stuff. I think it's Clinton Parks, aptly named Clinton Parks, that has inspired me to go and get more games just by watching and listening to what he says in the chat. Beatles Internally has quite a lovely collection. One day I will sit down and organize all this stuff. The thing I love about Action PC Baseball, it does a fine representation of baseball, that's for sure. Not just that, though, it's got so many little nuances. I mean, I'm into the basketball again, which was my first love all along. But all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, for the last 6 months or so, it's been Action PC Baseball all the way. All the way. And I love it. So much so that my first love, Out of the Park, it's like a scorned girlfriend at the moment. I still love it. I see Beatles doing quite a lot of it again. But I love Action Piece. I can't believe I used to hate this game. With a passion. Would not touch it. I even gave it back. And Dave Cook was so nice to me a few years back. He gave it to me back for free. Didn't have to pay a penny. Or he gave me a refund or whatever that was. And I had that copy. Never used the one he let me keep it. Never used it once. And that's not nice to be dishonest. Here we go. So we got Midlife Crisis. Ah, so the J is silent. It says Udor. Thank you, Midlife Crisis, for that one. Let's have a look who's in the field. Behind the plate, Lance Parrish. At first base, Enos Cabell. Second base, Lou Whitaker. Shortstop, Alan Trammell. At third, the Tom Selleck lookalike, Tom Brookins. Left field, Larry Herndon. Center field, Glenn Wilson, I think went on to play for the Astros. Well, they're doing well in this season, as in 46 and 35. And obviously the bulk of the 84 team is there. Chet Lemon in right field. Glenn Wilson, I think, went on to play for the Houston Astros by 1986. So Jerry Ogier, I'd like to know what happened to him midlife, if you get a second. What happened to him in real life? He's playing well in this season, that's for sure. Jerry Ogier, what's it? The J is silent. Udor. Sounds like the guy from Game of Thrones. Hodor. Let's have a look at this one, park layout. Let's move that center fielder just a bit there. Get the pitcher on the mound, and here we go. The surprising 1982 New York Yankees, who were disappointing in real life, are doing the business right now. Here's Jerry Mumphrey to lead off the ball game. Here we go. This midlife is going to dinner. Thank you for stopping by, Midlife Crisis. My rival in the Ned McGreevy League World Series, where we had George freaking Davis make some errors in the, I think it was 3 midlife, wasn't it? In that event. But yet, I saw enough of him to know that he's a good player. Never knew who he was before. One away. As Jerry Mumphrey looks to lay one down. Here's Willie Randolph batting 301 on the season. Udor, Jay is silent, on the mound. Here's the 1-1 pitch. And that's a hit to right field, and Willie Randolph with a double. Some poor play out in center field there by Glenn Wilson. So Randolph on second, and here's Dave Winfield having an outstanding season. Winfield batting .324 with 25 home runs and 81 RBIs. In real life, he batted .280 with 37 home runs and 106 ribbies. Udor on the mound. Jerry Udor, right-hander. Man on second. Udor stares in. Here's a 3-2. Hit to left field, and Herndon going back, and he has it. And that's one away. Great play by Larry Herndon. Nice diving catch in right field. Left field. And that's 2 down. Here's Gamble. Runner on second. Here's the 1-1 from Udor. Fastball, and that's hit into left field. And Randolph looking to take on Herndon, but doesn't. Randolph will hold up at third. 2 out here. Jerry Udor on the mound. He's having a good season. He's in real life, he went 10-10. But here, he is 4-0 on the season with a 1.80 ERA. As my Cockney accent threatens to take over. Udor on the mound. Sounds like Hodor from Game of Thrones. Here's Roy Smalley, surprisingly with a big bat. Left-hand hitter, he steps in. He hits .290 against righties. Runners on first and second. Udor set. Here's the 3-1. High. So that fastball was high by Udor. And the bases are loaded here at Briggs Stadium. This is a big home run hitting stadium. Here's Ken Griffey, Sr., batting .278, 4 home runs and 36 RBIs. He steps in. Bases loaded. Here, Udor sets. Here's the 0-2. And a shallow fly ball to left field. And Herndon makes the catch to retire the side. So Udor gets out of that jam. Nothing. Go to the bottom of the first. Leading off is Sweet Lou Whitaker. Batting, he's got a 7-game hitting streak going. One of the things I like about Action PC is the detail. Dave Righetti on the mound. He's 6-6 on the season. He's a southpaw. 3 balls, 2 strikes. And Righetti walks Whitaker. Whitaker on first. As Alan Trammell was staying. So, Midlife Crisis tells me He was a hopeful for the Detroit staff after leading the AL in hits per innings pitched, allowed 82, but sent back to the minors early in 83 after a poor start. So I guess that was the end of Odor. Looks good. Rigetti now on the mound. Here's Alan Trammell. In Out of the Park, that would be good midlife crisis because you get a chance to see if he comes back. If you put career mode on and certain settings. If you put the Out of the Park development engine on, Odor might come back. I'll have to play around with that. Here's Trammell now stepping in. He's batting .266. 3 home runs on the season. Man on first. Rigetti stares in. Here's a 3-2 pitch, and that's hit up the middle. Double for Trammell, and Whitaker coming home. He dives, and he is out. So Mumphrey to Randolph to Cerrone, and they get the diving Whitaker at home, but Alan Trammell will get a triple or go to third. One out here. Aggressive play by those Tigers, the upstart Tigers. Here's Hojo, Howard Johnson, future Met, at the plate. One out. Division-leading Yankees against the chasing Tigers. Here's a 2-1 for Rigetti. Up the middle, and a run will score. Howard Johnson comes through. Trammell scores. And Mumphrey will toss it back in. Uger. Okay. Uger. That's brilliant. So we're trying to get the name. I can't even say it. Uger. So the D is like a J. So the D is silent. So, trying to work out Jerry Uger's name. Got it now. Here's Lance Parrish. This is a really heavy-hitting lineup here for Detroit. They wouldn't show their real stuff until 1984. 3 years away. And Rigetti throws back to first. Johnson gets under the slide, under the tag. He's safe. John Mabry playing first base for the Yankees. First base has been a troublesome position for them. Rigetti checks the runner. Here's the pitch. Change up. Johnson going down to second, and he got a stolen base. 4 on the season for young Howard Johnson. He's playing DH. He gets a chance to play because of DH. He's a third baseman, Hojo. He's 21 years old. Must be his rookie season. Here's Lance Parrish, at the plate. Runner on second. Here's the 0-2 from Rigetti. Struck him out. The changeup. Brings up Larry Herndon to the plate. Larry Herndon having a good season. 13 home runs, batting .294 with 46 RBIs. He hits .350 against lefties. Here's the 3-2. And that fastball, what a fastball. Catches the inside edge, and Rigetti gets the K. Second strikeout for Dave Rigetti. So after one complete, Detroit 1, New York nothing. And we got on the mound Jerry Uger. Midlife crisis helps me with the pronunciation. Jerry Uger. The story behind him, he was doing well in 1982, but didn't start at 83, went back to the minors, and God knows what happened to him. This is one of the things I like about baseball. So many players, so many histories, so many stories. Here's Greg Nettles batting .201. Puff not hitting the ball well, but he has got 11 home runs. 3-1 to count. And Uger's fastball is in the dirt. He walked him. So here's John Mabry at the plate. Now this is a John Mabry that used to play for the Royals, as I recall. He is 33 years old. Big John Mabry. He's in veteran status at the moment. Left-hand hitter. Uger on the mound. Runner on first. Here's the 3-1. Long fly ball to center. Glenn Wilson will come in on it and make the catch. Great play by Glenn Wilson. Little diving catch there in center field. One for the photographers. He will jog back into position. Nice defense here from Detroit with Whitaker at second and Trammell at short, and a good arm from Glenn Wilson in center field. Chet Lemon has a gun in right field, and Herndon has a range in left, and Parrish has the arm. Uger himself is a good pitcher, fielding pitcher. Here's Rick Cerrone at the plate now. One out. Udra gets a sign. They throw down to first, and Nettles is back safely under the tag of Cabell. So Parrish fired it over to first, to Cabell, but his tag not in time. Greg Nettles not really a threat to steal, as Big Clue steps into the ballpark. And Rick Cerrone at the plate. So a bit of 1982 baseball. Clue and midlife crisis here. And we were just working out how to pronounce Jerry Udger, we've come up with in the end. Looked like a good prospect in 1982. Here's Rick Cerrone. Udger sets. Here's the 1-0. Nettles going down to second, and Parrish fires him out. So I didn't think he would go for it, but Nettles did, and he's out. Parrish has a strong arm with an 8 arm. 2 away here. 1-1 to count on Rick Cerrone. He was one of those Yankee catchers that had the fortune and misfortune of having a spot on the Yankee roster after the sad loss of Thurman Munson in 1979. Udger with the 1-1, hit straight at Brookins, and that's the end of the half inning. No runs, no hits, no errors after 1.5. Detroit 1, New York nothing. Dave Righetti will take the mound now for Detroit. We'll see a bit of Mario Soto later on, Clue. Chet Lemon steps up. Here's the 0-2. That's hit to short, and Smalley will tuck it in his pocket. 1 away. Yankees lead their division. 51-30 record, but the Tigers are not far behind on 46-35. The big hitters of that Eastern Division in 1982 were the Milwaukee Brewers, Harvey's Wallbangers, and the Baltimore Orioles. They trail in that division. Glenn Wilson is at the plate, and has drilled into left field. Winfield having trouble with it, and a double for Glenn Wilson. There's Tom Brookins now. As Midlife Crisis reminds us that it's 1 short of a century for Todd B. Happy 99th birthday. He sounds so young in the chat. Here's Righetti now, with Brookins at the plate. Cabell is on deck, man on second. Here's the 2-2, kicks and throws. And that's a flare over Smalley's head, and Wilson will score. So the young Tigers go ahead 2-0. There's the veteran Enos Cabell in his day. Is he borderline Hall of Famer, by the way? I think he is. Age 32, probably never will make the Hall of Fame, Enos Cabell. As welcome in Bernie Strum. I'm hoping to see the draft tonight. We're waiting on Steve. A bit of 1982 baseball. Here is Enos Cabell. Someone tell me a bit more about Enos Cabell. I'm sure I've read somewhere he was a very, very good player. I remember him vaguely from my teenage years. Cabell digs in, runner on first. Here's the 1-2. Ground up the middle, fielded by Smalley. Smalley to round up to Raybury. They turn the double play. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors after 2 complete. Detroit Tigers 2, the New York Yankees nothing. Yankees having a surprise season. So Midlife Crisis says, I found out an oddity about Clue. His wife, Eleanor, was a renowned softball coach. She would film him with an 8mm camera from the stands and essentially was his hitting coach. Hey, they were the first, wow, to use film to analyze hitting. I'm surprised. Well, that would have been what, the 50s, mid-50s? Udger now looks in. He's had 36 pitches. As Jerry Mumphrey will get the inning started. Here's the 1-2 line drive to right field by Jerry Mumphrey, and he'll get a single. So Jerry Mumphrey leading off the inning with a single. And here's Willie Randolph, 1 for 1, stepping up. Had a double in the last time he came up to the plate. Udger having a good season so far. He's 4-0. Randolph double for Winfield on deck, runner on first, and that's a bunt, and they'll move the runner across as Randolph is pegged, and he's out, and Mumphrey will go to second. Here's Mr. Big, Mr. Dave Winfield, Mr. May, Right-hand hitting Winfield having an excellent season, batting .322, 25 home runs and 81 RBIs. He's 0 for 1. Runner on second. Here's the 1-2. Shallow fly ball to center field. Glenn Wilson will break for it and make the catch. 2 away. Oscar Gamble with the big afro steps up to the plate. He's 1 for 1. Had a single last time up. Oscar Gamble, most noted for that big old afro of his. Now, we're still having some trouble with the pitcher name. It's pronounced Uger. What did I call him? I'm sure I said Uger. So Jerry Uger on the mound. We don't know too much about Jerry Uger. He seemed to start the 83 season, the next season, and he was down to the minors, and that was him. But in 1982, he looked good. Mumphrey at second, Oscar Gamble at the plate. He's ready. Runner on second. Here, Uger stares in. Here's the 1-0. Fastball outside, and Mumphrey will go down to third. Detroit would dearly love a win because they are just a few games back of New York. Oscar Gamble waits. Here's the 2-0. 3-0 up and tight, and Gamble draws the walk, so runner at the corners for New York. Mumphrey at third, Gamble at first. Jerry Uger making his first appearance in this broadcast of streams of this league. Roy Smalley will come to the plate. Big power from Roy's bat. He's hitting .318. Uger gets a sign from Parrish. Here's the 3-1. Low and inside. So Jerry Uger, under the spotlight of the broadcast here, giving up his fourth walk. So a big clue or midlife or anyone will tell me a little bit more about Jerry Uger. Here's Ken Griffey Jr. Here's Senior. Here's 0 for 1. Good hitter is Griffey. 2 out here. Bases loaded. Here's the 3-2. Grounded to Whitaker, who's up with it over to Cabell, and they get their man. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. After 2.5 innings, the upstart Detroit Tigers 2. The New York Yankees, nothing. Yankees outperforming their regular stats as Lou Whitaker comes to the plate on a 7-game hitting streak. So try and get my British accent back in. Whitaker leads off. First pitch, grounded up the middle. Fielded by Randolph. Throw to first. And he retires Whitaker. 1 away. Righetti, a very effective pitcher. 6-6 on the season. Trammell 1 for 1 steps up. Hitting .268. Here's the 3-1 from Righetti. Outside. And Trammell will go to first. So Jerry Uger seemed like he was a bit of a talent. Pitched for his varsity team as an 8th grader. According to Midlife Cry, here's Hojo, 1 for 1. Hojo, I think, had a double in the last time up. Righetti fires to first, and Trammell gets in under the tag. Trammell a threat to steal. 1 out. Top of the 3rd inning. Righetti checks first. There goes Trammell, but it's hit foul. And Trammell will truck back to first. Here's the 1-1. There goes Trammell. They're pitching out. And a throw from Cerrone, and they get him. Randolph with the sweep in time. And Alan Trammell is caught stealing. Rick Cerrone not with the strongest arm, but they were ready for him. Hojo steps back in the box. It's 2-1 to count. Curveball, and that's a soft liner to right field, and Howard Johnson has his 2nd hit of the ball game. Here's Lance Parrish now, 0 for 1. He steps in. He's batting .280, 17 home runs. Here's the runner on first. Righetti set. Here's the 0-2. Fastball in at the knees. Struck him out. 3rd strikeout now for Righetti. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. We've played 3. The upstart Tigers 2, the New York Yankees nothing. Jerry Ugger on the mound again now for the 4th inning. Bit of a curiosity, Jerry Ugger. First of all, the pronunciation of his name and what happened to him in 1983. Greg Nettles steps in now. Puff Nettles batting like Carl Schwarber, light. Nettles drill ball. Here's the 0-2. He pops it up to second. Whitaker makes the catch, and that's out number 1. Here's Mabry. Big John Mabry steps up now. Powerful hitter, way past his sell-by date. That is the weakness on this 1982 Yankees team. Cerrone on deck. Here's the 3-2 from Ugger, and he walks him as Mabry laid off the pitch. 5 walks down for Jerry Ugger. I wonder how long he's going to last. He has a 2-0 lead, though. Here's Rick Cerrone, 0 for 1. Mumphrey on deck. Runner on first. Here's the 1-2. Grounded to third. Brookins to Whitaker to Cabell. They turned it. No runs, no hits, no errors after 3.5. Detroit 2, New York nothing. So who's rooting for who? Are there any Yankee fans in there? Any Detroit fans? I know Steve is a avid Detroit Tigers fan. Larry Herndon steps up. He's 0 for 1. He lit off. And he's down straight away. A strikeout. 96 mile per hour fastball from Dave Righetti. One away. Righetti's 4th strikeout. Here's Chet Lemon 0 for 1. Here's the 3-1. Inside. And now Righetti with his 3rd walk. Chet Lemon on first. Maybe a threat to still 19% threat. As Midlife Crisis gives me some extra info before dinner. He was a bit wild, this Jerry Ugger. And that's what cost him. Here's Glenn Wilson, 1 for 1, stepping in. He doubled and scored in the 2nd. Righetti sets. Ground up the middle. Righetti fields it to Randolph, to Mabry. They turned the double play. No runs, no hits, no errors after we've played 4. Detroit 2, New York nothing. Jerry Ugger now has pitched 82 pitches as Jerry Mumphrey steps up to lead off for New York. He strikes him out. So Ugger, 89 fastball, struck out Jerry Mumphrey. 1 away. Jerry Ugger, I think, is a fly ball pitcher. He is an extreme fly ball pitcher. Got a good fastball. Average in the clutch. 25 years old. Caught my attention because he's 4-0 in this league. Here's Willie Randolph now. Second baseman steps in. That is popped to first. And Enos Cabell is under it and makes the catch. 2 away. Yankees still trail 2-0 here in the bottom of the 5th. Here's big hitting Dave Winfield, though. He can shorten the distance in a hurry. There's the 0-1 fly ball to left field. Larry out there in left field, Larry Herndon. And he will get under it and make the catch to retire the side. No runs, no hits, no errors. After 4.5 innings, Detroit 2, New York nothing. So we go to the bottom of the 5th. Brookins will lead off the inning. He drove in a run in the 2nd. 2-2 count, and he is thrown out at first. So grounded to Randolph, who moved to his left and threw to first. 1 away. Willie Randolph a 6 at 2nd. Not the strongest infield for New York. Nettles is a 7 at 3rd. Winfield's a 10 in left with a 7 arm. Griffey's decent, 7 range, 8 arm. And Mumphrey with a 6 range in center field. Smalley's a weakness, and so is Mabry. Cabell steps in. Whitaker up next. Here's the count, 2-2. Curveball at the belt. And Cerrone lost the ball, but he threw to first for the out. That counts as a strikeout, so the 5th strikeout for Dave Righetti. It's going to be important for them throughout the season. Here's Lou Whitaker now, 0 for 1. Calls for him to be a Hall of Famer. Has hit up the middle. Randolph to his right. Backhands it and goes to first for the out. So that's retires the side. Nothing across at the bottom of the fifth. We've played 5. Detroit 2. New York nothing. Detroit looking to close the gap on New York in the American League East. Jerry Uger on the mound still. Gamble singled in the first. He's leading off. That's outside. So we are seeing that wildness from Jerry Uger here, that midlife crisis referred to. It's up to 99 pitches now. The bullpen is up now for Detroit. Roy Smalley steps in. Runner on first is the 1-2. Popped to Parrish behind the plate. 1 away. Oscar Gamble's a 57% chance at first base. Will they run him? As Griffey steps in, he's due a hit. He's 0 for 2. Batting from the left-hand side. Runner on first. Uja checks the runner and toes the rubber. Here's the 1-2. Hit deep to center field. Wilson going back. And he makes the catch. Gamble will go back to first. As Greg Nettles steps in now, having a terrible season, Greg Nettles. He's a power man, really. He's on course for power, but he hit 232 in 1982. He's currently at 201. Parrish talked to Uja. Third baseman steps in, Nettles. Here's the 0-2. Fly ball to center field. Glenn Wilson trots after it. And he makes the catch to retire the side. No runs, no hits, no errors. After 5.5 innings, MV trying to get his baseball voice back after playing so much soccer and football lately. And drinking and all sorts. Trying to get back into it. After 5.5 innings, Detroit 2, New York nothing. Things have changed on the home front. Coming to the end of a nice spell at work with a lovely holiday. Here's Alan Trammell now, 1 for 1. As the fielders infield corners. So the infield came in and Trammell is walked. He's on base. Bottom of the 6th inning here. Righetti still trailing the Yankees 2-0. Here's Hojo though, 2-2. 2 for 2 today. Man on first. Righetti is ready. Here goes the 2-0. Fouled. Hojo is knocked in a run with a single in the first. Steps back in. The count is 2-1. Righetti with a quick throw to first to keep Trammell quiet. Trammell will go. Yankees are ready. Here's a 2-1. And there goes Trammell, and he's safe. So Cerrone, not the strongest arm, fired down the second. It was close, but Trammell hit the dirt, and he is safe. 13th steal for the young Alan Trammell. Alan Trammell, in 1982, was just 24 years old. Whitaker was 25. There's the young Lions out there now chasing down the Yankees in this unexpected divisional race as Hojo steps back in. He's 21. Here's a 2-2. Struck him out. That 96-mile-an-hour fastball from Dave Righetti strikes out Howard Johnson. 6 strikeouts now for Righetti. It's one of a few pitchers whose name began with R in the 80s. I remember Rick Rhoden played for Pittsburgh. I'm sure also played for New York. Here's Lance Parrish having a good season. Twice a strikeout victim today. Runner on second. He hits a deep fly ball to left field, but Dave Winfield is waiting for it at the track. He makes the catch. Trammell will hold up at second as Larry Herndon steps in. Struck out last time. Man on second. And he rips a ground ball straight to Righetti on an 0-2 count. And that is that. Mabry with the out at first. No runs, no hits, no errors. We've played 6 complete. Detroit 2, New York nothing. Jerry Uja still out there, 112 pitches now. As Mabry steps in, he's 0 for 1. Here's the 0-1. Hard deep fly ball to right field, but Chet Lemon is giving chase. And he's under it at the track. 1 away. Chet Lemon, another favorite from the 80s. As Rick Cerrone steps up now. Mumphrey on deck. Here's a 2-1. And that's a chopper to Uja, who makes the error. So Jerry Uja makes the error to go along with his walks. And Cerrone is safe at first. Yankees threatening again. Uja's pitched a decent ball game apart from the walks. I don't know if the two can go in a sentence like that. Here's Jerry Mumphrey, 1 for 3. Man on first, here's a 2-2. Smash to Trammell. Trammell to Whitaker to Cabell. And they turn the double play. No runs, no hits, no 1 error. After 6.5, Detroit 2, New York nothing. I read somewhere in the 1980s that although New York did not win a division, as I can recall, they didn't win a pennant in the 1980s, from what I recall. They were the most successful winning franchise in the 1980s in terms of win percentage. Very interesting. Here's Chet Lemon, 0 for 1. Batting .262. Here's the 0-1 from Righetti, and that's a base hit for Chet Lemon. Griffey will come up with it in right field. So here comes Detroit again, bottom of the 7th. Glenn Wilson at the plate. This is a young Glenn Wilson, 23 years old. So these Tigers are very young. I've got an outside hunch that they may do well here in this league. It's not until 84 that they peak, but they look pretty good here. Glenn Wilson would end up with the Astros. He faces Righetti. Runner on first, here's the 0-2, and that's a line drive over Smalley's head. 2 men on now for Detroit. Brings up Tom Brookings. 28 years old. Just coming into his peak years now, Tom Brookings. Righetti waits for him. Runner on first and second. Here's the 1-1 off speed. And that's a flare into right field, and a runner should come home. No, Lemon does not. Try it on with Griffey in right field. So, brings up the veteran Enos Cabell. Cabell batting way below expectation. That comes in now. Bases loaded, nobody out. Here's the 1-2. Grounded on a third, Nettles to second, and Lemon will score 3-0 for the upstart Tigers. Fans getting into it now. Righetti down 3-0. Whitaker steps in, he's 0 for 2. Infield at double play depth. Cerrone speaks to Righetti. Trammell on deck. Runs on first and third. Here we go. 1-1 count. Down to Nettles, who bobbles it at third. And the runner scores. An error on Greg Nettles, one of the best third basemen in the league. Or was one of the best third basemen in the league. Another run scores. It's 4-0 Detroit. As Alan Trammell is waiting now for Righetti. Here's the 3-2. As a ground to Nettles, who comes up with it this time cleanly over to Mabry, and they get Trammell out at first. But the runners advance a base. Cabell is now at third. Whitaker at second. Here's Hojo, who's batting 2 for 3 today. Not a good lefty hitter. Righetti gets a sign. Here's a 3-2. High and outside 5 walks down for Righetti. Detroit looking to cut the margin on the division-leading Detroit New York Yankees. Lance Parrish steps in. He's had a good season, but he's 0 for 3. And now we see a man from the bullpen coming. Frazier is in. Frazier kicks and delivers, and he walks and forces in a run. Cabell will score. So the bases are still juiced as Frazier has taken over from Righetti. George Frazier, 27 years old, decent fastball, on in relief of Dave Righetti. These upstart Tigers are taking it to the Yankees, surprising leaders, by the way. Know what is Baltimore and Milwaukee, they're not anywhere in sight yet. Frazier looks in, gets a sign from Cerrone. Here's the 2-2. And that's hit to right field, but Ken Griffey measures it and makes the catch. He puts it away. 3 runs do score on 3 hits and 1 error. We've played 7 complete here in Detroit. The Tigers lead 5-0. Jerry Uger on the mound. He's had an interesting day. First, trying to pronounce his name correctly. As hello, legends. Do you have Jerry Uger in your league? You wouldn't, because I don't think he'd make the pool. Just an interesting storyline on Jerry Uger. As Midlife Crisis said, Steinbrenner was always investing badly. Steve Kemp comes to mind. By 85-86, he was with the Oakland City 89ers. Is that with a MLB contract or without? Was the highest paid minor league hitter retired? I did not know that. I know who Steve Kemp was, vaguely, from my memory. I do remember him. But yeah, during the 1980s, I do remember that team, mid-80s, with Don Baylor and Griffey, who's here, and Ricky Henderson, Righetti, some of the guys we're seeing tonight. They were in that team. And they always came second. Here's Willie Randolph, 1 for 2. In fact, the 85 Yankees, I think, are an outstanding team. Didn't win it, though. Didn't win the division. Willie Randolph, 1 for 2. Here's the 0-2 on Willie. Bouncer back to the pitcher, and Uger makes his second error. So not only has Uger walked 6, he's made 2 errors in this ballgame. Yankees trying to come back as Randolph on first. And here's the very hot Dave Winfield, but Winfield is 0 for 3. Runner on first. Here's the 0-2 from Uger. Deep fly ball down the left field line. Larry Herndon measures it, and he makes the catch. And Randolph will have to hold at first. Big free agents signed in 1980s by the Yankees. Everybody looking forward to the Shanks night, I hope, tonight or tomorrow night. Not sure what Steve's doing. But what I do know is the Detroit bullpen is active. Few people in the bullpen. In the bullpen is Pat Underwood, Bob James, Aurelio Lopez, Senora Smoke, Larry Pashnick, Elias Sosa. He's having a good season. And the guy's having an excellent season, Dave Tobick. Anytime now, Sparky. I think Sparky Anderson was in charge by now. Here's Oscar Gamble, 1 for 1. Man on first, 2-2 from Uger. Deep fly ball down the right field line, but Chet Lemon on the warning track. No, it hits the fence. Randolph will stop at third as Chet Lemon does have a gun of an arm. So Randolph at third, Gamble at second. Let's go Yankees. Let's go Yankees. As Roy Smalley steps in, he's 0 for 1. Bit of Friday baseball here from MV. Getting ready for the Shanks. Smalley 0 for 1. Runs at second and third. Here's the 0-2. Struck him out. A clutch strikeout from Jerry Uger. 2 out now for New York here in the 8th inning. Ken Griffey steps back in. He's 0 for 3. First pitch. Hit high there to right field, but Chet Lemon has it for the putout. So after 7.5 innings, Detroit 5, New York Yankees nothing. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Leach will pinch hit now. Fraser with the pitch. And Leach is safe. Rick Leach is safe with a base hit. So Rick Leach came in there for Detroit. He took the batting pace of Chet Lemon. So Leach on first. Rick Leach is 25 years old. This Detroit team's quite young. As Glenn Wilson steps in, Glenn Wilson himself is only 23. Fraser looks in. Runner on first. Here's the 2-1. A chop up the middle. Smalley charges it. Throws to first. Not in time. Glenn Wilson's wheels take him to first. So the Yankees not looking good in the field today. Smalley not a great shortstop. So Fraser rubs the ball as Tom Brookins steps in. Man who looks like Tom Selleck. Cabell on deck circle. Fraser gets a sign. The 0-2 hit into left field. Base hit. Winfield picks it up and Leach will stop at third. So the base is loaded here for the young Detroit team. Enos Cabell steps in. The veteran is 0 for 3. Will they pinch hit for him? They do, and they bring in Kirk Gibson. This team is loaded with talent. Righty versus lefty. There, base is loaded. Fraser takes a sign. And a base hit for Gibson, and Leach will score. Wilson will come home as Winfield bobbles it in right field. So 2 more runs score. 7-0 Tigers. This is a team I will watch now in 1982. I hadn't had my eye on them because I was looking for the Orioles and the Milwaukee Brewers to do well. But all of a sudden, a midlife crisis has given me some context. And this team is starting to show some form. Here's Lou Whitaker now. Cerrone talks to Fraser. Runners in scoring position. Here's the 1-2. High hop at the first. Mabry will collect it. And no, he won't. He won't make a throw as Brookins scores. And a base hit for Whitaker. So Mabry is so slow at first, Big John. Didn't know what to do with it. No one covering first. That's shocking. 8-0 Detroit lead. Blowout. Here's Alan Trammell now. Batting. He's walked twice today. Here's the 2-2. And that fastball strikes him out. So Fraser comes up with a fastball. 1 away. Kirk Gibson at third. Lou Whitaker at first. Howard Johnson steps in. He's 2 for 3 today. As midlife crisis gives me some more context, Wilson was traded to the Phillies for Willie Hernandez, the final piece they needed. No worries, midlife. You give me a lot of background. You can always watch the ending later. I think you know how this ends. Have a good dinner. There's Howard Johnson, 2 for 3. Thank you for the information, midlife. On Jerry Ugin in particular. Here's the 0-2. And Gibson will score. As Rick Cerrone came up, didn't make the throw. As a dribbler in front of the plate, it's all going wrong for the Yankees here. George will not be happy. Here's Lance Parrish, who hasn't hit anything today. Batting .278, steps in. Fraser gets a sign. Here's the 1-2. Line drive up the middle. And another run. May score. No, Mumphrey has it. And Whitaker will hold at third. Only one out here. It's a shellacking here all of a sudden. As the young Tigers start to maul the Yankees. Herndon's got 1 grand slam on the season. Bases loaded. He's 0 for 4. And Dave LaRoche now coming in from the bullpen. Bases loaded. LaRoche gets a sign. And a blooper over second from Herndon, and Whittaker scores. Johnson scores. 2 more runs in, 11-0. Detroit. Wow, this is a beatdown. Dave LaRoche, 34. As Leach comes in, Rick Leach, who came in as a pinch hitter, is now playing right field. 2 men on still, only 1 out. Here's the 1-2. Line drive straight to Mabry. Oh, what a catch by Mabry. I thought that was going right at the right field. And Big John leapt in the air and pulled it down. That's 2 out. Nice play there. I thought Leach was going to get a double at least for that. There's Glenn Wilson, who was traded to the Phillies eventually for Willie Hernandez, the closer. Glenn Wilson would go on to be productive for the Houston Astros, certainly by 1986. 3 for 4. LaRoche, the lefty, looks in. Brook is on deck. Here's the 1-2. That's hit straight at Ken Griffey in right field. So a big inning for Detroit. 6 runs on 8 hits. No errors after 8 innings. Detroit 11. And New York already packing their bags. Nothing. Can they avoid at least a shutout? Uja is coming out for the 9th inning. He's looked good. Nettles 0 for 2. He's had an error in the ballgame, Greg Nettles. Not one he'll be proud of. Full count. Soft roller to Trammell over the first. They get him. Nice throw by Alan Trammell. That's short. These young Tigers have impressed me today. Here's Big John Mabry, who made a good defensive play in the previous inning. Anyone else coming in afterwards? I can quite happily do a second one. Unless Bernie or Dwayne or somebody else is taking another one. Here's John Mabry 0 for 2. There's a 3-2 count. Line drive to right field straight at Jones. So Jones, as a fielding replacement, out in right field, Lynn Jones makes the catch. Lynn Jones on in as a fielding replacement. Leach is at first. Seen a few nice changes there for Detroit. 2 out. Uja is still on the mound. They must bring a reliever shortly. Still, can he get 1 more out? That's all he needs. 159 pitches. Way past his expected pitch count. This is a preserving of arms going on, at least in the bullpen. The man on the field, his arm's going to fall off in a minute. Here's Rick Cerrone 0 for 3. Uja stares in. Payoff pitch, and he walks him. 7 strikeouts. 7 walks on the day. And finally, they lift Jerry Uja. They gave him the chance to get a complete game shutout. He missed it by 1 out. As Beatles Eternally drops in. Seeing the end of a shellacking here, Beatles. Elias Sosa on the mound now, pitching for Detroit to close this thing down. Jerry Mumphrey steps in. Runner on first. Sosa with the pitch, and that's lined straight to Trammell. Ball game. What a shellacking by the young Tigers over the division-leading Yankees. They win it 11-0 on some sterling pitching from Jerry Uja, who gave up 7 walks, but still gets the victory, a very good victory. The division-leading Yankees take a real battering there. Gamble was 2 for 2 for the Yankees with 2 walks. But the big hitters were Tom Selleck looking like Brookins, 3 for 4. Hojo, 3 for 4 with 2 ribbies. And Glenn Wilson, who would be later traded to the Phillies, 3 for 5. Detroit left 22 on base. The Yankees left 19 on base. Righetti takes the loss. He drops to 6 and 7. Dave Righetti. And Fraser was absolutely belted from here to Kingdom Come. Only pitched 0.2 innings, gave up 7 hits, 6 earned runs. Ouch. There's nothing you could do with that. That's just minor league sending down stuff. But Jerry Ujah goes to 5-0. He has been the surprise of the league so far. 8.2 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits, no earned runs. So he remains, a star so far. I wouldn't say he's a star. He gives up too many walks, but he's off to a great start. And we're in July. So we'll just run down today's games in the league. As Beatles comes in, there are your Pirates. There's somewhere, Beatles. It's not completely yet, they're out of it. 16 back. Let's have it right. So scheduled league games. There is another game to be played. I was going to do Soto Carlton. Is there anyone coming on after this or now? I could check the Discord very quickly. I don't see anyone there, so I'm going to do another one. And that would be Soto Carlton. Because it's Soto. So Mario Soto will go up against the Phillies. So this will be a good one. I'm just looking at it. For anyone who wants to hang on and watch another one, it will be the struggling Cincinnati Reds up against the Phillies. But it is Mario Soto against Steve Carlton. And we're going to do that one. So here we go. The lineup for the Phillies, 1982, with a DH in the National League. So if you're not used to seeing DH in the National League, here you go, a little treat. Pete Rose, and is that Wayne Gross or Kevin Gross? Gross. Greg Gross, there you go. There's Greg, not even Wayne or Kevin. Gross, Diaz, that's fine. Go to the opponent. Some notable names there. There's Roger, is it Cesar Cedeno? So Bench and Concepcion are still there. So is Drisson. So here we go. But Mario Soto's who we've come to see, folks. Welcome, everyone, to Veterans Stadium, which is a decent power park, but not so good for hitting, if that makes sense. Steve Carlton is being opposed by Mario Soto. The player I used to love watching in the 1980s was Mario Soto. Let's have a look at who's in the field for Philly. Bo Diaz behind the plate. At first, the veteran Pete Rose. Second base, Manny Trio, who I discovered is a pretty good second baseman. At short, Ivan De Jesus. At third, Michael Jack Smith. Left field, Gary the Sarge Matthews. And Gary Maddox in center field, the Secretary of Defense. And in right field, George Vukovic. So this is peak Phillies in the early 80s. On the mound, lefty himself, Mr. Silent, Steve Carlton. Carlton is 37 years old, having a much better season than his real season. His ERA plus is 143. His whip is 1.08, and he already had a decent whip. Leading off for the Cincinnati Reds, Cesar Cedeno. So thank you for staying, those who have stayed, for the second ball game of the evening. Cincinnati's lost 7 straight, big clue if you're still here. Mario Soto will make the start for the Reds. Carlton is 15-5 on the season. He's having a great season. And there's the first ball hit into center field, and Maddox makes the catch. So Steve Carlton on the year is 15-5, but with a 2.71 ERA, 166 strikeouts, and 166 innings. He's having a great season. The season he comes from, 1982, he went 23-11 in real life with a 3.1 ERA and 286 strikeouts. He's on course, but he's having an excellent season. And this is with DH on, so somehow he's accomplished that. Big clue. You're so funny. Here's Eddie Milner now at the plate. Here's a 2-0. High chopper to short. De Jesus up with it. And he makes the error. His 13th error for De Jesus at short. So Milner at first. A leadoff hit. Not a leadoff hit. A hit for Milner. He's got some wheels at first. As Dave Concepcion comes up now, batting .255. Runner on first. Carlton looks over at first. There goes Milner. And he is safe. It's a stolen base for Milner, taking on the arm of Bo Diaz behind the plate. Concepcion steps back in. Here's the 0-1. He rips it to second. Trio with a great play at second. Throws to third. And Milner is out. That's the play of Manny Trio at second. With a 10 rating. Milner thought he could get there, and he didn't. Nice throw to throat by Manny Trio. 2 away. Johnny Bench steps up now. Veteran Johnny Bench. Johnny Bench in 1982, seen his best years. 34 years old now. Only hit 13 home runs in 1982, but here we go. Carlton looks in, gets a sign from Diaz. Here's the 1-2, and he struck him out. So Steve Carlton gets out of that inning. No runs, no hits, 1 error after 1/2 inning. Big clue, just like real Reds games. Oh, you're funny. Here's leading off for the Phillies is Pete Rose. Let's have a look at who's in the field for the Reds. The Reds trailing their division by a long way in the West. Trevino behind the plate. Alex Trevino, I think that is. First baseman is Dan Drisson, a leftover from their championship years, I believe. Ron Oster at second. At short, another one of the the great 8 from the Cincinnati lineup from the 70s. Dave Concepcion. Playing third is Johnny Bench. So he's playing third base today, folks. In left field, Eddie Milner in third. At left field. In center field, Cesar Cedeno. Let's double check that. I'm getting visions of someone else. Yes, it is Cesar Cedeno. And in right field, Paul Householder. So let's go. Mario Soto, Mr. Strikeout Machine. I do remember him vividly from the 80s. Let's see what he can do. Rose steps in. He will lead off. Here's the 1-2 from Soto. Ground ball up the middle. Oster moves to his right. Fields it and throws to first for the first out. 1 away, Ron Oster at second. Here's Greg Gross now, stepping in. Here's the 2-0. And that's a base hit for Gross. Curveball was connected there, and he goes to right field. Here's Bo Diaz stepping in. Man on first. Here's the 0-1. Wild pitch, and Gross will go to second. Here, Soto is ready. Here's the 1-1. Deep fly ball on the left field line. Milner will track back and make the catch. For one moment, I thought that was gone. So Milner in left field. Soto looks in, gets a sign from Trevino. Here's the 1-2. And he hits him, dead ball. So Mike Schmidt was hit there, dead ball. And he hits him, and it's a walk to first. So 2 men on for the Phillies. The dangerous Gary Matthews comes up. Matthews, I wouldn't say, is having a great season so far. It's about just under par. 2 men on. Soto looks in. Trevino sets the target. Here's a 2-2. Oster gets under it, and that retires the side. So after 1 inning, the Cincinnati Reds nothing. The Philadelphia Phillies. That's Clue's making me laugh while I'm talking. That's why it's a bad Clue. You're making me laugh. It says you're better than the cowboy, Jeff Brentley. I don't know who he is, but I get the sentiment. Here's Dan Dreesen now stepping up to the plate. Carlton gets a sign. Here's the 1-2. Struck him out. Second strikeout for lefty. Steve Carlton looking like having one of his great seasons. 15-5 with a 2.69 ERA. Here's Paul Householder. Batting .228, just above his real average. Here's a 2-1. That's hit deep down the left field line, but Gary the Sarge Matthews at the track waiting for it. He makes the catch, and Paul Householder will sit down. Steve Carlton, notoriously quiet, just nods his head and appreciates the Matthews. As Ron Ulster now digs in. Here's the 2-2. That's line shot up the middle. And Ulster is going to go all the way around, and he's going to get a triple. That one hit between Maddox and Vukovic, and Ron Ulster slides into third. So a man in threatening position for the ailing Cincinnati Reds. They're 37 and 44 on the season and already out of the race. That division has been held by the Dodgers, that lead in that division, the National League West. As Mike Vail comes up to the plate. Who the hell is Mike Vail? Runner on third, 1-1 pitch. And that's hit down the third base line, but it's foul. Runner on third, here's the 1-2. Curveball struck him out. Masterful pitching from Steve Carlton. And that retires the side. No hits, no runs, one hit. No error after 1.5 innings. Cincinnati nothing, Philly nothing. Should be a pitcher's duel if we're lucky tonight. Mario Soto on the mound. Now as Gary Maddox steps in. If you want to know who the DH is for Philly, it's Gross. Maddox waits. Soho toes the rubber. Here's the 1-1 fastball. And a blooper to Dave Concepcion, who takes it with a catch that's short. One away. There's Greg Vukovic now. At the George Vukovic. Here's the 1-2. Deep fly ball to center field. Cedeno is under it and makes the catch at the warning track. 2 away. The Cincinnati Reds team would not get much better until, I think, well, I don't think they were good throughout the 80s at all, if my memory serves. I remember they had Dave Parker at some point. Here's De Jesus and Eric Davis. Here's the 3-1. Fastball inside. And De Jesus will walk to first. There's Manny Trio now. He steps in. Rose on deck, runner on first. Soho looks, first pitch. And De Jesus takes off for second, and he's safe. Trevino's throw not in time. Nine steals for De Jesus. Trying to break the deadlock here. Get something going for the Phillies. There's Manny Trio. 1-0 count. Frozen row back up the middle, and this is a chance for a run. No. De Jesus is held, and I don't know why. Because Cedeno only has a forearm. As Big Clue says, I shouldn't complain. The Reds aren't on national TV enough to be settled without Joe Buck, is that? There's that. I don't know. I know that the Buck family are quite, a little bit I do know. Who is the legendary broadcaster for the Reds? I can't remember. I don't know, I should say. Rose, 0 for 1. Runner on first and second. Here's the 0-2. Popped up. Trevino grabs his face, takes his mask off, but that's behind the home plate, out of play. Rose will step back in, 0 for 1. Pete Rose, veteran at this stage. 41 years old. Pete 0 for 1. Here's the 0-2. Line straight to Ron Ulster. No runs, one hit, no errors after 2 complete. The Cincinnati Reds nothing, the Phillies nothing. The Phillies were supposed to be the upcoming team of the late 70s. I think they only won 1 World Series, if I'm right. It could be 83. And anyone would like to correct me, please let me know. Jack Buck, that's it. So the Reds were crap from 82 to 84. Other than that, they were first or second place most years in the division, right? I think that makes sense. Jack Buck, right, was the broadcasting icon. Joe, his son, stinks. Yeah, I've heard of Jack Buck. So here we go. Steve Carlton on the mound as Alex Trevino steps in. Cedeno on the on-deck circle. Here's a 2-2. Carlton kicks and deals. That one hit high to right field, but Vukovic underneath it. But now we see an injury as Trevino is hurt. I think Trevino's coming out of the ball game for the Reds. He's their catcher, so we may not see him again. Here's Cesar Cedeno. Fly it out to center the first, and a hot smash up the middle, but De Jesus with a nice play. Goes to the left, gloved it, and threw it to first. Got him. Nice play by Ivan De Jesus at shortstop for the Phillies. Eddie Milner steps in. He's 0 for 1. Lefty versus lefty. Grounded straight back to Carlton, who fields it and throws to first, so he gets out of the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors in this already brewing pitching duel. After 2.5, the Reds, nothing. The Phillies, nothing. Here's Greg Gross now, bottom of the third. As a bit more education comes in from Big Clue. The Phillies were highly competitive, just 74 to 83. With a World Series win in 80 and a loss in 83. I thought so. So the season, right, that makes sense. 83, I can't remember who they lost to. Because my memory that bad. Is it the Orioles? Yes, they covered his prime for sure. I didn't have was it Danny Ozark? That was their manager, I think. Again, I'm going off a 30-year memory here. Here is Mario Soto and Greg Gross at the plate. He's the DH. National League DH in this league. Diaz on deck. Soto gets a sign from Van Gorder. And a roller to Drisson. And they get their man. He will make a throw, I should say. Gross with an infield single. So behind the plate is Van Gorder. He's coming in now. As Trevino was injured, Dave Van Gorder is the catcher. 25-year-old catcher. I don't know if Shanks is on tonight, folks. This clue gives me a bit of a rundown between looks like the Reds were on the decline, and the Phillies still had maybe 1 year left. Diaz now 0 for 1 before the window began to close. Schmidt on deck, runner on first. Here's the 0-2. On the inside corner, Mario Soto gets his first strikeout. Brings up Michael Jack Schmidt. One away here. Here's the 0-2. And a base hit up the middle. A bit of a blooper from Mike Schmidt. So 2 men on for the Phillies. Gary Matthews comes up now. He's 0 for 1. Runs on first and second. Here's a 2-2. Struck him out. Mario Soto now getting his fastball moving. Couldn't guess right there, Maddox, and that's 2 away. 2 strikeouts now for Mario. See if the Reds can upset the Phillies here. Van Gorder behind the mound crouches as Maddox steps in. Soto gets a sign. First pitch hit down to left fielder Milner. Makes the grab to retire the side. So Mario Soto getting out of a jam in the third. No runs, 2 hits, no errors. I'm looking forward to Mario taking Steve Carlton all the way to the wire. After 3 complete, Cincinnati nothing, Philadelphia nothing. Steve Carlton now coming out on the mound as Dave Concepcion leads off the top of the 4th inning. Here's the 0-1, breaking ball. Down to Schmidt, who comes up with it and throws to first. Nice backhanded play by Mike Schmidt. A former Red Bolt, I might add. Here is Johnny Bench, 0 for 1. Johnny playing third base today. Old aging knees now for Johnny Bench. These are athletic knees, not real knees. He's only, 30? We sometimes talk about these players as they're really old. And we think he's 34 years old. What I'd give for 34 again. Actually, I'm happy as I am, but you know what I mean. Here's Johnny Bench, 0 for 1. Here's the 0-2. Fastball. Struck him out. So on the inside corner at the knees. 4 strikeout for lefty. Here's Dan Drisson, 0 for 1. Can't say I like the Phillies uniform at this stage. Here's a 2-2. Struck him out. Diaz hung on. And that's the 5th strikeout for Steve Carlton. So no runs, no hits, no errors after 3.5 innings. Cincinnati nothing, Philadelphia nothing. The duel continues. George Vukovic now leading off for the Phillies. Here's a 2-2 from Soto. Struck him out. Now it's on. 3 strikeouts from Mario Soto. Ivan De Jesus comes up. Here's the 1-0 from Soto. Changeup. Shallow fly ball. Paul Householder will come in and he waits for it and he makes the catch for the out. 2 away. Some fast work here from Mario Soto. Here's Manny Trio. Had a nice defensive play from him a couple of innings ago. He's 1 for 1. Here's the 1-2. Grounded up the middle. Dave Concepcion moves to his left, fields it, and fires to first to get the player out. Nothing across in the bottom of the 4th. After 4, the Reds hanging tough with the Phillies. 0-0. Carlton now trying to shake Soto. Both pitchers locked in a duel. Paul Householder comes up. He's 0 for 1. Here's the 0-2. Fastball outside on the black, and Carlton gets his 6th strikeout. Carlton looking good, and those colors up there by Steve Tate, that lovely card. The veteran looking good. By the time I saw him in 1985, 86, he was playing for the Giants, as I recall. Got to see him and Vida Blue and John the Count Montefusco, as I recall. Saw a lot of Giants games for some reason. Probably because I was watching a lot of Mets games on WOR with Ralph Kiner being the broadcaster, as I recall. Ron Alster at the plate. Batting .288. Here's a 2-1. Grounded to the veteran Rose, who takes it back to the bag. 2 away. Carlton pitching really well here at the moment. I've probably hexed him now. Here's Mike Vail, the DH for the Cincinnati Reds. Yes, the DH. Here's the 0-1. And that's a blooper over De Jesus' head. And Mike Vail makes... Oh, and an error. Bad play by Matthews. And Vail will get to second. So, be interested to see at the end of this league how the DH affected everything. Here's Van Gorder. Dave Van Gorder at the plate. Batting just 125. 2 out now. Top of the 5th inning. The Reds trying to get something going. Man on second. Here's a sign from Diaz. And Van Gorder with a fly ball to left field. And Matthews takes it. No runs, 1 hit, no errors after 4.5. Cincinnati nothing. Philly nothing. Pitchers duel. Hello, Steve Tate. You just missed your Detroit Tigers. The young and upcoming Detroit of 1982 take down the Yankees. Are we doing Shanks tonight, Steve? Or are we doing it tomorrow? I'm not sure. We're just trying to work. I mean, I'm trying to. I don't know about everyone else, but I'm sure we said tonight, but I could be wrong. Is it tomorrow? Also, I've got some basketball coming up soon. Probably tomorrow now. Here's Pete Rose, 0 for 2. And a line drive from the veteran, but Cedeno makes the catch straight at him. 1 away. We may, if it stays this way, see the Ghost Runners. I'm praying for it. Here's Greg Gross. 2 for 2 today. Here's the 1-2, and that's ripped in a center field for a line drive. Greg Gross is the DH for the Phillies. So he's getting a few games. It'll be interesting to see how the engine handles that one. Enos Cabell is around. Yes, he was. We've seen him today. I think he was in the previous game. Yes, he was. So Cedeno in center field. I always get them mixed up, but Cabell we saw playing first base for Detroit. Here's Bo Diaz, 0 for 2. Soto on the mound. Let's see how old Mario Soto was in that year. Mario Soto's just 25 years old. His ERA plus this season's 160 versus 134. He's 8-7. So in a struggling team, he's done well. Here's Bo Diaz, 0 for 2. Now at bat, struck out last time. Here's a 2-2, and that's a liner straight at Eddie Milner, who makes the catch. Throws to first, and Gross will get back in time. So Eddie Milner made that look so casual, and left field So these Reds are hanging in there. It's the pitching, I guess. Here's Michael Jack Smith, 1-for-1 at the plate. Runner on first. Soto with the first pitch. Gross going down to second. And Van Gorder fly down to second. It went into center field. And Greg Gross ends up at third. An error for the substitute Van Gorder, who's replacing Alex Trevino, who was injured on a run to first. Van Gorder, not a bad catcher, just a wild throw. 2 out still. Bottom of the 5th inning. Mario Soto up to 91 pitches. Schmidt steps back in the box. But now they decide not to pick to Michael Jack Smith. I don't mind, really. So Steve says that I have no idea. We may need to postpone Shanks until the platoon is further rested. A Stripes reference. Great movie. I remember Stripes. We should wait until you return from vacation. I'm not back until the 18th. I mean, I don't mind doing the draft this weekend at all. But I'm flying out on the 2nd of October. I definitely won't be available next Friday. So I'll be in London then. But it's up to you guys. I mean, if you have to do it without me, so be it. But I would love to be there. But I thought it was this weekend, but I guess do it when you feel comfortable, especially. Even if I'm not there, don't worry. I'll come back for Howard Shanks 5 if necessary. The league will be over in 6 weeks. But I don't mind either way. Although I'd love to be there. Gary Matthews steps in, 0 for 2. Maddox is up next if he reaches safely. Here's the payoff pitch. Fastball. Hard grounder to Oyster. Now I can't say Oster. And that retires the side. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error. As predicted after 5 complete. Cincinnati nothing, Philadelphia nothing. So the ball game is tied up as Cedeno comes to play. Here it's a 2-1. Grounded on the first baseline. Score is locked 0-0. Top of the 6th inning. Here's a 2-2. Fly ball to right field. Vukovic there, and he has it. Probably, I don't mind waiting, Steve, because I know there's a lot of us are doing different projects at the same time. So maybe we can wait, as long as everyone else is okay with that. Big Clue and Bernie and Dwayne and whoever else, really. Here's Eddie Milner, 0 for 2. Lefty versus lefty. Come on, Milner, let's do something. And a broken black booper to right, and Eddie Milner is on. Milner's got some speed. 1 out here for the Reds. Here's Concepcion, 0 for 2. Ground to third in the 4th, man on first. And there goes Milner down to second, and he is safe. So the throw by Diaz, who hasn't got the strongest arm. Milner steals base number 13 on the season. I hear you, Steve. Well, if everyone's in agreement, and I don't mind, if you are willing to wait for me, that would be lovely. Yeah, Dave Concepcion, you had him in your Shanks league. Here we go, Dave Concepcion over 2. Tainted league. And that's down to second. Yeah, I suppose we have to drum up interest in the Shanks. I haven't seen much chat lately. So not a bad idea. Carlton with the 0-1. Hit to center field, and Maddox has it, and that's 2 away. This is a championship Phillies team here, being held, as Steve says, he has a jersey of Dave Concepcion. Here's Johnny Bench there, 0 for 2, veteran Johnny Bench. Milner got a funny feeling he's going to come home on this one. Here's a 3-1 to Bench. Ground ball to third. Schmidt up with it over to first. And I was right. As Johnny Bench ran to third, Schmidt came up with it, threw it to first. And Pete Rose couldn't dig it out, and Eddie Milner scores. 1-0, Reds. against, well, it's been a deadlock game and a bad throw. You were swept, Clue. Swept. We need to get WWG back in it. Steve, I've got that NBA stuff as well up my sleeve. Here's Dreesen, 0 for 2. Runner on first. Here's the 3-0. Change up out wide, and Dreesen was taken all the way. We're looking at an upset here, folks. Paul Householder now, 0 for 2. Diaz goes out to talk to Steve Carlton. Runners on first and second. Here's the 1-2. Hit on the ground. Rolls up with it to Carlton. And they get the Householder. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error. After 5.5, Cincinnati won, Philly nothing. So here's Maddox steps in now. Maddox having a good season. Here's the 0-2. Lines one to center field straight at Cedeno. 1 away. Soto continuing to look good on the mound. Here's Vukovic. De Jesus on deck. Here's the 0-2. Swung and a miss from De Jesus. He was fooled, so Soto gets his 4th strikeout. Yeah. Also, Steve, I mean, gosh, the amount of money I'm spending. Honestly, I'll just say, you know what, to hell, you live once. I best I would access a bit more. Definitely NBA 2K24 is deep. You can play different eras, like, I think it starts off with, let's see now, the Magic Bird era. And then it goes to the Michael Jordan era, Kobe era, LeBron era, and then modern era. So you've got 5 eras. Plus you can edit, you can upload any draft class. I'll show it at some point. I'll have to go on the PlayStation. But it takes a while to figure out, though. You can do a fictional league, but it takes a lot longer to set up than previous versions of the game. I'm just trying to get Reggie Miller and Tayshaun Prince and Charles Barkley, and I can get them now. But it's just taking me a while to figure it all out. I think so, yeah. And you got drafts, like 64 drafts to 67. That skips a few, and everything from 75, you get the draft classes for. So if you finish your league and you get to the end of the season, it allows you to import draft seasons. I think it's done that before, but there's just more draft classes available now. And you can make your own draft classes. It's always been in the game, but they've just got so much more. And when they play, Steve, it's with the same graphical overlay of the TVs, what you would have watched, say, on when I used to watch ABC Wild World of Sports, it was called. I used to get it in England, actually, and we'd see American sports over here back in the 70s. So when I was a kid, we'd pick up ice hockey and NBA. So I do remember, like, even before I got into basketball, watching the Lakers and the what do you call them now? The team you won beat me the other day, the 76ers. But the TV screen looks like a 1970s TV screen. It's brilliant. Here's De Jesus. Here's a 2-2. Swung and a miss from De Jesus. I can put that on afterwards if no one else is broadcasting. Yeah, Tayshaun Prince, yeah. You can, Steve. Yeah, you can. You can do all of that. There's only a certain amount of slots, but I don't know how many teams are normally in basketball, but you could get a league going and you can get, like, I think you'd add 8 teams, or just start off with a completely fictional league, which I'd have to download, or, yeah, you can relocate teams as well. I've got a team at the moment, for example. I started a league. Sorry, everybody, just talk a bit of basketball for a second. I started a league, and it's using the modern teams, but I did a draft. So my team at the moment, not that I'm into NBA currently, but I do know I have, is it Devin Booker? I've also got a guy called Tyler Hero. What a player he is. He's a straight-up shooter. And we're doing well in my league at the moment, so I'll put it on afterwards. Here's Ron Oster now, 1 for 2 as these Reds are still surprising these Phillies. Here's the 1-2. Struck him out, so Steve Carlton gets his 7th strikeout. This game now in the 7th inning. Mike Vail steps up. He strikes out, and Steve Carlton's got 2 in a row. Here's Dave Van Gorder on the mound. Van Gorder, replacement for Trevino, got himself injured. He flies out to right field, and that is that. No runs, no hits, no errors. 6.5 gone. Here's Manny Trio, 1 for 2. Hello, D. Scott Howard. Steve says, love to see it. Just give the baseball crowd an early evening that you're pivoting, an early warning that you're pivoting, so you don't melt or turn to stone. Oh, bless. So, Trio now, 1 for 2. I will say it now. I'll be doing some basketball after this. 10 minutes after this second double. This is a double header today. I will definitely be pivoting to basketball. Here we are. Manny Trio, 1 for 2. I've been quietly surprised by Manny Trio. Here's the 1-0. Soto. Grounded between third and short. Great play by Concepcion. Lots of timing. What a play by Dave Concepcion. And the Reds are pulling all the stops against the favorite Phillies here. The Reds are 37 and 44 in the season. The Phillies are 54 and 27. Mario Soto and Steve Carlton going at it here today. Score is Reds are leading 1-0. Bottom of the 7th inning now. Pete Rose, the veteran, 41-year-old Pete Rose steps in. He's 0 for 3. Soto's got the wood over him. Gross will back next. The payoff pitch. And Pete gets a walk. Now brings up a rarity, a National League DH. Greg Gross batting 3 for 3. I doubt we'd have seen a pitcher do that, but never mind. Here is Greg Gross, 3 for 3. Soto nods his head as Van Gorder gives him the sign. Here's the 2-2 from Soto. Man on first. Grounder past Treason, and Gross has gone 4 for 4 today. He becomes the first National League DH with such numbers. 4 for 4. Bo Diaz steps in now. Soto toes the rubber. In fact, Van Gorder wants a word. Soto with the windup. Here's the 0-2. Struck him outside on the inside of the black. So here we go. Gross on first. Rose on third. Mike Schmidt steps up. He's 1 for 1. Van Gorder wants to talk to Soto again. The bullpen is up for the Reds. Van Gorder gets back behind the plate. Clips his mask down. Soto nods, gets the sign. Hit him last time. Here's a 2-2. Big strikeout for Mike Schmidt. Soto gets a strikeout. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. After 7 gone, the Reds 1, the Phillies nothing. Can the Reds nick one off the Phillies here? Cedeno steps in. He's 0 for 3. Carlton nods and gets a sign from Diaz. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Cedeno. Fastball hit to third. Schmidt to his left, up with it, and throws the first for the out. Brings up Eddie Milner every time he's got on base today. Yeah, Manny Trio, by the way, is pretty good. As Beatles Eternally says, he's pretty much the only member of the baseball-only crowd. I only support what people want to do, so I don't need anyone. That's fine, Beatles, I know that. Here's Eddie Milner, 1 for 3. Milner singled and scored in the 6th. And that's a shallow ball to the left center field, and Maddox comes into it and makes the catch for out number 2. Can the Reds hold on now? Steve Carlton up to 104 pitches. The bullpen up for the Phillies. Let's have a look at that bullpen. As D. Scott Howard says, he's getting feeds for cricket. When the new game comes out, I'll definitely do some of that. Baseball will always be my first love, but my other love is basketball, surprisingly, and American football. I don't think I'll stream American football, but basketball, I played head-to-head with Steve the other day. Oh, what a blast we had. Oh, my God. And anyone who wants to play baseball head-to-head, I'm all for it. I never got a chance to show off my managerial skills with Steve because the game crashed after the second inning. But the basketball, it was a bit long. I think we did it for like 2.5 hours. But it was really, really cool. I think his what team did he have? He had the Phillies, not the Phillies, the 76ers against my anemic New York Knicks. And my Knicks were the Patrick Ewing ones. So it was pretty interesting. Here's Concepcion now, 0 for 3. Carlton looks in. Gets a sign from Diaz. Kicks and deals on the 3-2. That one hit to center field, but Maddox is back and makes the catch to retire the side. Nothing across to the top of the 8th after 7.5 innings. Cincinnati Reds, Philadelphia nothing. My voice has changed again. Here's Gary Matthews, 0 for 3. As D. Scott Howard bemoans the fact that on his feed, he is now getting Australia and Pakistan and India and England and the West Indies cricket scores. Blaming it all on MV. Here's Matthews now, 0 for 3. The Sarge having a tough day at the plate. Soto up to 142 pitches. That bullpen, when do they come in? When do they come in? Let's have a look at the bullpen for the Reds. Charlie Leibrandt is in the bullpen. Joe Price is in the bullpen. I don't know who Joe Price is. Bob Shirley is in the bullpen. Greg Harris, never heard of him. Ben Hayes. Tom Hume. And Jim Kern. I've heard of Jim Kern. Here we go. As Soto is on 142 pitches. He's pitched a masterpiece to this point. Nothing for 3 today. Soto with the sign. Here's a 2-2. Shallow fly ball to right field. Paul Householder will run under it and make the catch. Matthews will sit down. He's 0 for 4 today. Gary Matthews having a shocker today. Here's Gary Maddox also having a shocking day today. Soto's besting these guys today, big time. Here's a 2-2. Grounded to Johnny Bench at third. And Johnny throws to first. And that is, they retire the runner. So Maddox out of there. And finally, Mario Soto, who's pitched a masterpiece, is coming out of the ballgame. Well done, Mario. Well done. Allowing Tom Hume to pitch. Well, this is where it will go sour for the Reds. So Tom Hume now pitching for the Cincinnati Reds. As everything is crashing down on my desk. Tom Hume on the mound. Hume, 29 years old, is very durable. Makes $2.5 million a year. Big clue, let me know anything about Tom Hume if you can. Here we go. Hume having a good season as he warms up. He's 4-5 with a 2.48 ERA and a 1.194 WHIP. He's going to face George Vukovic. Vukovic 0 for 3. Hume is ready. Here's the 1-0. Grounded to first. Dreesen has it. And that's one away. So come on, Reds. Can you hold on? Nothing in the cross in the bottom of the 8th. We played 8 complete. Cincinnati 1, Philly nothing. And the Reds will look for some insurance at the top of the 9th. As the veteran Johnny Bench steps to the plate. 0 for 3. Carlton stares in. Here's the 1-2. Fastball hit deep to right center field. And Vukovic goes over to make the catch. One away. Lefty on the mound versus Soto. It's been a beauty. Here's Don Dreesen, 0 for 2. Here's the 1-2 from Carlton. Struck him out. Dreesen has struck out 3 times today. 2 away here as Lefty looks to do his part for the team. Paul Household is 0 for 3. Carlton gets his sign. Here's the 1-2, struck him out. So Steve Carlton with 10 strikeouts. Wow, so here we go. Bottom of the 9th inning, Philly just trail 1-0, which they've done from about the 5th inning. The Reds, can they pull off a shock victory here? De Jesus 0 for 2, steps up. My money's on the Phillies. Here's a 2-0. Change-up hit down the left field line, and Milner going back to the track makes the play. I thought that was going to hit the wall, but Eddie Milner with the speed caught it at the track. 1-0. 1 down. Hume in 1982 went 2-6 with a 17 saves. On this season, he's got 14 saves. He's overperforming. Can he wrap it up? The man with the glasses. Here's Manny Trio, 1 for 3. Now going to change it for Bobby Denier. That's 0 for 2, and a great play by Concepcion. Gets the speedy Denier as a pinch hitter out. So the Reds 1 out away from a well-needed victory over the Phillies, National League rival. Here is Pete Rose, 0 for 3. Pete looking to play spoiler here. Van Gorda puts the sign down. Hume nods. Wheels and deals on a 1-1. And that's hit deep down the right field line, and Paul Householder will make the catch to retire the side. A victory for the Cincinnati Reds over the Philadelphia Phillies. No runs, no hits, no errors. That's all she wrote from Veterans Stadium. Cincinnati 1, Phillies 0. Wow. As it all goes silent here again. The Reds put off a victory. I was looking for a pitcher's duel, and we got one. And we didn't see the Ghost Rider because Cincinnati scored 1 in the 6, and that's all they needed. Mario Soto, such a talent. I wonder what happened to him at the end of his career. Did he just start late? I just remember him being a strikeout guy. 9 and 7 he goes to, and Steve Carlton's having an excellent season, drops to 15 and 6. Gross as a DH for the Phillies, 4 for 4. There is my argument for the DH. Joking. With a stolen base. Cincinnati Reds, wow, that was a really good victory. I'm glad we watched them tonight. They only had 3 hits. Well, they only needed 1 run. That's all they needed. Left only 7 on base. That's how bad they are with hitting, anyway. But the Phillies left 17 on base. So that was really good to see. Hume gets a save, his 15th. There's some life in the Reds, and I think Clue said earlier that in the mid-'80s, as I remember them, but they were always finishing behind the Dodgers, I think, and the Giants in the American League West. So that's good to see that they did this. I was really pleased to see Marisol get that victory. Also nice to see Gross getting 4 hits. So we'll just go for the scores today. In this 1982 league, with some special stuff on it, like Ghost Runner and DH and Interleague. Let's just play through all of the games. So in this particular game, Toronto at Baltimore, the Orioles win 7-3 behind Dennis El Presidente Martinez. Detroit, we saw earlier, beat New York 11-0. Steve Tate was still. We saw Jerry Urjoy. Do you know him? Beat Dave Righetti, and it was a beatdown. So the upstart Tigers looking very good. The Reds, and we just saw the Reds and the Phillies. So we see Montreal, Mora versus Steve Rogers. And St. Louis, the favorites, lose to the Orioles. The Orioles, the Expos. The Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's see if the Pirates, Robinson, can beat Falcone. I think it's Pete Falcone, I think it is, versus Don Robinson. And the Mets, the magic is back, 6-3 over the Pittsburgh Pirates. The hapless Texas Rangers, against the faltering Milwaukee Brewers, who are one of the favorites. And the Brewers, behind the brilliant Mike Caldwell, beats Frank Tanana's Texas 11-0. A bit of a shellacking there. Robin Yount went 4 for 5, and in the previous game, Bill Madlock, Mad Dog Madlock, went 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Let's look at Seattle, who were looking pretty good at nearly 500 against the hapless Minnesota Twins. Nelson versus Frank Sweet Music Viola. Let's have a look. And Seattle go to 500. They are overperforming, I think. Bill Cowdill with the save. Now, the surprise package of the season is Cleveland Indians with, yes, my man, Von Hayes, doing very well at the moment, against the experienced Kansas City Royals. Let's see what happened. The Royals behind Dennis Leonard, he goes to 10-6. Len Barker goes to 10-6. And George Brett went 2 for 4 with his 11th home run. Now, in out-of-the-park baseball, you'd actually be able to see those highlights, which is one of the things of out-of-the-park that I do like. I think there's a film thing in here. I've never... Yeah, I suppose you can see it like that in text form, but you can see it in out-of-the-park, which is one of the things I do like. If you could save the visual stuff in here, it will also be pretty good. So, the veteran lead in San Francisco Giants come into Houston, and they win behind Lasky. One of the Necro brothers loses it 15-6. And that would be, I think, Phil Negro. Ray Knight there with 3 for 4. Some really good Jack Clark. I like Jack Clark. Yeah, it does do the film, which is quite an interesting thing to look at, especially if you're playing, series. So the Chicago White Sox against the Oakland A's. They come into Oakland, and they edge Oakland 4-3 behind a win by Escarrega, 2-2. Alchinko goes 1-2. Lazinski, I think, was a former Philly, goes 4 for 5. Or will he become a Philly? Boston Red Sox, bottom of their division, take on the big bumming California Angels. But 2 excellent pitchers, John Tudor against Bob Forsch. And Forsch gets the win. Mark Claire looks like he dropped one. 2-9 in relief. 12-5. The Atlanta Braves playing way below par against the division-leading Los Angeles Dodgers. Rick Camp against Jerry Rouse. 10-7. Rouse wins it. Royce, 10-7. Coming towards the end of the day, and it's the San Diego Padres hosting the Chicago Cubs. And the Padres win 5-1. So very interesting to see that throughout the day as we come to the end of that day's play. Let's wait for it to update. I'll try and do a little bit more regularly, although obviously going to be off for 2 weeks soon. I wonder if I can take my laptop abroad. I suppose I could. Here we go. So, at the moment, before it updates itself, the All-Stars at the moment, Joe Necro is the All-Star pitcher at the moment. Lance Parrish is the catcher for Detroit. He's the All-Star at the moment. Cecil Cooper having a good season for the Brewers. Lou Whitaker for the Detroit Tigers, who have been the surprise team so far. Mike Schmidt looking pretty good so far as well. Robin Yount, not bad. Dave Winfield's having a good season. He's already got 25 home runs. Just looking at his OPS plus, he's way above. Dale Murphy, about on par at the moment, so he must be the best center fielder in the game, because 132 plays 136. And George Hendrick, the veteran, George Hendrick having a slightly better season than he would have done. And Hal McRae, another veteran, actually below par, but still selected as a DH. So, that is the league, the 82 league. I've been doing it for a couple of months, slowly, but I have been doing it. It's only the Howie Shanks I lost some momentum, which I don't regret at all, because I love Howie Shanks. So there we are. That's the end of the stream from me. Just want to say thank you, as you look at the screen here, to everybody that came in today. Quite a few people in and out. Thank you to Beatles Eternally, Steve Tate, D. Scott Howard. Who else is there? Big Clue, of course. How can I forget Big Clue? Your Reds won today, Clue. I will be back on in about 10 minutes, unless someone's doing something. I'll check the Discord. Bernard Strim, Midlife Crisis, who had to go to dinner but gave me a lot of background around that wonderful picture that we saw today for What's his name again? Jerry Uja. That's it for Detroit. We saw Bernie in here. Thank you, Bernie. I haven't seen Dwayne lately. But thank you all. I'll be coming on in about 10 minutes unless someone's doing... Thank you. You're welcome, Bernie. Always welcome. I'm considering buying your game, the Replay Baseball. It looks so cool. I just need to see all the seasons. Because if they're available, I'll buy them all. I just think, what a wonderful looking game. And that's the only thing that stops me from buying it, not having all the seasons. So I'll just live it through you. That's fine. But thank you for everyone coming in today. Really appreciate it. It's been a while. I'm trying to find my baseball voice again. I've lost it while I've been playing other games. But I'm sure it'll come back. But anyway, thank you very much. And I will see you in about 10. I'm going to go into my PlayStation 5 and do a little bit of NBA 2K4, a bit of arcadey stuff. But I don't do the arcade stuff. I just GM it and watch. But it's an interesting game. And it's got me back into action PC basketball, which I absolutely love. So I'll be hoping to do that. So until then, I will see you in about 10 minutes if you come back. Thank you.